What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, if you're new, what I do here is I break down the occult sciences to a very practical level so that you can simply use them and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real, actual results with what it is that I am teaching here on my channel, simply by applying your observation and awareness. Okay, let me give you a little bit of a perspective of who I am, just in case you don't know. If you're new to my channel, my name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I'm fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck. And I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies in direct association with astrology. Okay? Now, with that being said, what is the topic of our today's video? Now, this is a topic that is very misunderstood by a lot of people. Okay? There are a lot of people that have this question on their mind, especially when they are beginning to get into some sort of occult practice or practices. Okay, so the general topic of today's video is going to be in connection with: do spirits, do entities exist inside of your head? Do they exist inside of your mind? Are they conscious, subconscious, unconscious forces? Or do they actually exist outside of yourself? Do they exist in the real world that we look at here on our planet Earth? Okay? There's a lot of people that are juggling between these two different perspectives and these two different beliefs. And what I'm going to do in this video, which is not supposed to be a long video, is just give some clarity on what's actually taking place when it comes to spirits and entities. Okay? So if this is something that you're interested in, stay tuned for the video. Okay, so let's first start with the awareness as to why the first thing most people like to do is label it left or label it right. Oh, they're all inside of you. Spirits, entities, archetypes, they exist all in your mind. They're just unconscious, subconscious forces that then can become conscious. It's all in your mind. And whatever your mind's perceiving, it's able to produce an energetic effect in the world around you. That's one belief. Then the other belief is, no, these forces exist outside of myself. Potentially there may be an extraterrestrial, interdimensional influence behind these forces, and I can literally communicate with them outside of myself. And I can see them move in my external reality outside of myself. So they're not just a part of me. They're not just a part of my unconscious and subconscious awareness. They also exist outside of myself with their own intelligence. They do things that are outside of just what I am doing here in my own life. Okay, they're entities. They have their own intelligence. They do their own things. Okay? So, once again, the first context that we need to draw here is the first thing that most people love to do is love to either pick this belief, the left, or they like to pick this belief, the right. Okay? Now, whenever you come across teachings, beliefs, and ideas that side with only one perspective without giving an awareness of the other perspective, there's usually going to be a very big red flag that comes into play, because you may have heard the saying, every truth within it has a falsity. So every truth is actually a half-truth. And this is the reality of the energetic nature and cosmic law itself. Everything has a polarity. Every positive has a negative, and that's what creates evolutionary power. It has to exist that way. So what I'm referring to is that there is never just one belief that is always going to be right and correct for all of evolution. It's similar to, there are going to be people that get the lower polarity of evolution. They live lives that are not they live lives that are not the most satisfactory lives that you may want to live. Yet these people are still necessary for evolution because they carry or they represent a certain polarity, a certain energetic dynamic in the bigger scale of how evolution functions. And then you have other people that you could consider the higher polarity, the more powerful polarity of satisfactory living. Someone that could represent being in touch with their soul and living a life of freedom, real freedom. And you may identify with that because that feels good. It sounds good. And they play an important role in regards to evolution as well. And both people need to exist to cause evolutionary change. Okay? So it's not that one's good and one's bad. They're both necessary if you're looking at it from an evolutionary perspective. So the same concept comes into play when we're talking about, do entities exist, and do spirits or archetypes, do they just exist inside of your unconscious and your subconscious mind? Or are they also extraterrestrial, interdimensional in nature, and could potentially have their own existence outside of just my unconscious and subconscious? And the answer to this question is, it's both. Let me say that again. The answer to this question is that it's both. Entities exist in your unconscious and your subconscious mind, meaning they have a direct energetic influence and effect on those areas of your consciousness. Now, simultaneously, they are also interdimensional, extraterrestrial in nature. And the more powerful spirits, entities, and archetypes can take on their own existence with their own intelligence. Similar to the concept of, if you program an AI, artificial intelligence, to be smart enough, it can literally start programming itself and taking on its own purpose outside of the original program it was given. The same concept happens with entities, spirits, and archetypes can do the same thing as well. Archetypes can turn into entities. Okay? So, the answer is that it's both. See, the world we live in today, everyone wants to argue. They want to say it's this way or it's that way. And this is a great reflection as to the final sphere of the Qliphoth, which is the sphere of Samael, which is the sphere of ultimate duality. Okay? The sphere of ultimate duality, Samael, the twin serpent, has a huge energetic effect in the real world today, where people view things in such a dualistic manner that it destroys their evolutionary progress, but it gives them a fake or a false sense of self-importance, and that becomes their purpose. Okay? And you can apply this concept to many different areas of life, and you can see how it actually is happening in the real world today. Okay? If you study, if you do some research on the sphere of Samael from the Qliphoth, you will start to pick up and understand some of what it is that I'm talking about. And I'm somebody who's initiated into that sphere, and I have seen it manifest in the world around me when I was in that sphere. And it has everything to do with dualistic thinking. It's either left or it's right. If it's not right, it's not good. If it's not left, it's not good. Whatever side you're on the right side. When in reality, they both need to exist. There is no left without a right. That's why we have two hands. There is no this without the that. There's no positive without the negative. They always have to exist. And the deeper and more profound perspective is that evolutionary understanding that I'm talking about. They both need to exist. So exactly that, when it comes to entities and when it comes to spirits, primarily, they exist inside of your unconscious and subconscious, and they directly influence that. And you directly influence them with your own unconscious and subconscious, meaning you can form, you could even say program these entities and these spirits with your unconscious and your subconscious, depending on how powerful you are. Now, simultaneously, these what we call entities and spirits that have the ability to have their own intelligence, these are forces that have been empowered for a very long time. Basically meaning these are powerful energies that have not just appeared a week ago, a month ago. Some of these forces have existed longer than we can even calculate to our conscious human perspective, which gives them huge amounts of energetic influence on the physical plane here. Which means these are extraterrestrial interdimensional energies that also do have their own intelligence, on top of the fact that they're directly connected to your unconscious and your subconscious. So on one end, you're directly connected to the entity, to the spirit, through your unconscious and your subconscious, meaning you can see aspects of that energy field in yourself, and that's part of how you develop yourself using occult practices and occult sciences, by pulling those energies into yourself and essentially integrating its influence or power into yourself, which is not always an easy process. But also, these are energies that exist outside of you. Although they're connected to the unconscious and the subconscious, they also have their own, you could say, purpose. They have their own intelligence to do things in their own way and in their own right, which typically is to increase their energetic power. Typically, entities and spirits that have the ability to operate on their own outside of another human or outside of the human unconscious and subconscious or whatever else is influencing it, it typically wants to increase its own power. Similar to all of us as humans, our natural nature is to increase our evolutionary power. Whether you want to agree with it, disagree with it, that's whatever. But the reality is that's our nature. We want to increase our evolutionary power. We want to have more freedom in our life. We want to have more satisfaction. We want to feel that sense of forward movement as if we're moving closer and closer to our highest potential at all times. The same thing happens with entities and spirits. Maybe not the same as a human being, but at the end of the day, they do want to increase their power. Okay? And this is the key to understand. They are not just inside of you. They're not just connected to your unconscious and your subconscious. And they're not just outside of you. They're not just their own intelligence. They're not just these extraterrestrial interdimensional beings that roam around doing their own thing completely. It is both. Okay? I mean, if you think about it, the soul of the human being is interdimensional and extraterrestrial in nature. It's what travels through all those dark energy dimensions that exist in the universe and in the cosmos. Okay, it's what is connected to the source of all evolution, all evolutionary structure, and it's connected into the source of evolutionary chaos, where creation comes from. That's why it comes from the womb, the dark mother, the dark feminine. Okay, so this is the primary understanding that you want to have in regards to the subject matter at hand here. So I don't really need to say anymore. This is the value that you can get from the video. Make sure you really soak it in because, as I said, we live in a world today where most people like to identify with the left or the right, but the reality is they're both necessary, and you never want to be on either side. You want to be dynamic. You want to be formless, okay? And that's the key. So other than that, I'm going to wrap it up there. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Also, hit the notification bell because I post videos as often as I can, and with content like this, you obviously do not want to miss out. And then come down here and hit the subscribe button because I love to see my subscribers shoot through the roof. So make sure you go ahead and you do that. And if you're listening to this content and you feel like it's offering you value and you're not yet subscribed, then definitely go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Okay. Now, also, you have my full permission to copy and paste this link and send it out to anyone. My intent is to spread this content like a wildfire. Okay. Friends, family, social media platforms, you name it. And then also come down here and add me on Instagram. My handle is JER_477. Extremely easy to type in. Okay. And then when you add me on Instagram, you're going to see I post unique things. Okay. So go ahead and check that out. Now, also, if you would like to gain access to a private Facebook community, you can click that little drop-down arrow, go into the description, scroll down a little bit. You're going to see there is a post that says private Facebook community. Now, you're going to click the link to that post, follow where the link takes you, and then you can request to join. Okay? Right now, there are over 300 members. It is active daily. And if that's something that you're interested in joining, look into that Facebook link. Okay? Now, this is the most important link that I'd like to take your awareness to. This is the first link in the YouTube description. If you hit that little drop down, this is going to take you to my Patreon. Okay. Now, on my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive content that is not on my public YouTube channel. Okay. For many different reasons. And at this point, there is so much content. It is almost like a secondary YouTube channel with more advanced occult studies, practice, and information. Okay. It ranges from live streams, blog posts, ritualistic practices, you name it, going all the way to the top tier, which is called the Universe-B Vampire Service, which is the most popular tier of the Patreon. And what I do in that service is I completely transform the energetic structure of those participants to start feeding on chaos and dark energy to increase their power over time. If this is something that you're interested in, look into the Patreon. First link in the YouTube description. Okay? I'm going to leave that there. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say, all of you who are subscribed to the Patreon, huge shout out to all of you. I appreciate all of you very much for taking your knowledge, studies, and practices to that other side. Okay? Now, for the second link in the YouTube description, click that drop down, second link down. This is where you can book a tarot card reading with me. Now, in this tarot card reading, I can literally pinpoint exactly where you are on the Kabbalistic tree and then tell you where you're headed in your near and long-term future based on your placements. So I tell you what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, what you're going through in the present, and then tell you what to expect as you move into the near and long-term future. Once again, based on the placement of you on that Kabbalistic structure. Very valuable information. And so far, I've done well over 250 readings. The service has not even been out for a year yet. It's approaching the year mark, but not even. And I get tons of great feedback. Okay. So with that being said, if this is something that you would like to take advantage of, definitely check it out. Second link below, book your tarot card reading. Now, the third link in the YouTube description is where you can become a YouTube member. Okay. Now, as you become a YouTube member, you gain access to the Psychic Warfare Emoji program, where you can literally use emojis to cause psychic damage to a targeted individual of your choice. And once you get good at it, it can literally take 5 seconds. Okay. And it's all stuff that I've created in regards to the emoji system. It's based on tarot magic. It's based on the Fibonacci sequence. It's based on the Black Dragon Force. It is very profound and it does work. And currently, as we speak, there is a community post section for just the YouTube members that has over 1,000 posts of people targeting psychic warfare on specific individuals. And there are people using it as we speak. Okay. Now, if you want to gain access to that and a whole bunch of other benefits in regards to live streams and things of that nature, look into the third link in the YouTube description and become a YouTube member. Okay. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you on the next video. Peace.